So although we've got a couple of radios which are in for repair, and I'll just turn the volume up because you can see it's lower than we normally have it. Well, that's now louder than we normally have it. Oh well, we'll see how it goes. Oh, creak. This radio has been very, very kindly sent to me as a freebie from one of our viewers. But the price to the usability, oh dear, what a disappointing set. Now, I'm not looking a gift horse in the mouth because these were a lot of money, and I know we paid more than £100 for our sample. This one's been used as a base station, and I've now got sick to death of it being as deaf as a post, because the last two we've seen, our sample and one we did for a lady breaker, were as deaf as a post. Now subsequently we do now have a service manual for what it's worth, which somebody else sent us. So we're going to look at this with the service manual in mind. This, hello, it's got a big hole in this, hasn't it? Needs to go to the dentist, that does. I mean, this is, I've just looked up the pinout for the mic, and it's what you'd expect Uniden to be, but I can't believe that something as poor as this could be built by Uniden, unless they have changed since the sets they did in the 80s. So let's get inside it. I really am appreciative to see another one of these, because is this going to be as bad, or are we actually going to be able to do something better with it? I don't know. This is what it's all about. Now I've already made a mic up because it hasn't come with that daft Cobra looking mic. You see, we start off by not having a plug-in speaker, and you know, that already brings it down to the bargain basement sets. I mean, there was something like $129.95, and I think we paid 97 trade or something like that. Tell you what, we'll take the other lid off, because apart from going to tune an organ today, I've got nothing else booked in. This isn't the first radio this gentleman has so kindly sent us. So the board washing, from my angle, is not good. Looks like they washed it with water. So have we got any board identification? So whoever G with an arrow through it who made it, it's not Uniden. It's G for goodness knows. You know, in a modern set which still has a relay in it, and this seems to be quite a current trend. I know these are 10 years old now, but we're still getting sets with relays in. And when CB hit the UK in 1981, the sets with relays in, I thought, oh my goodness, are they still using relays? And yet they still are today, so there you are. So it's got crystal filters, and it's got a fiberglass printed circuit board, so you know it looks like it's going to work well. But when you actually look at the circuit diagram, which we've now seen, there's actually nothing special about it. You've got the CPU circuit, which you'd expect separately, You've got the speech processing. No idea what that is. Then you've got the main circuit. Which, apart from the type of components used, you know, is no different to what was going on 30 odd years ago. So it's 13.8 volts or 13.2. I don't think it has an RF meter, so we can. I'll have a pretend one. Let's have a look. So we'll connect it with our crocodile clips because I haven't dug out dropped one of the ceramic tools on the floor. Last time I did that it broke. We've also been very, very kindly sent a set of ceramic tools by another of the viewers, and again that's really appreciated, and they'll be on one of the other benches, like 4A. So we'll switch on, and we have a short circuit. So we'll go straight for that protection diode. Oh, it's not showing a short circuit there. Let's try that again. It's short circuit as soon as you apply power. You know what? You know what, folks? It says on the back, positive, negative. So the black wire is positive and the red wire is negative. Who thought of that? Oh, good. It now lights up. So we'll plug an extension speaker in. Has an extension S-meter socket as well. We'll plug the test equipment into the aerial socket. Makes a noise without a speaker. I'm going to look back at our last video we did with the factory mic when we do the on the air test. I'm going to see whether our standard 1495 mic actually works better. Okay, so sending it into transmit. Let's put the instruments on. Now these were notorious at coming with exceptionally low deviation, like 0.9 kilohertz, that low, unusable low. So as it's come, let's see what power it's doing. I'm set to the 3 watt scale, so if we're doing 3 watts we get full scale deflection. We get a lot more than that. The radio's doing 4.3 watts. I'll go and get a piece of paper and we'll write these down. So TX 4.3 watts, deviation wallow, nearly operating on 2 channels at once, it's so stupidly loud. But they didn't come out like that, somebody's altered that. So the screwdriver's been in there. So they'll have had some pretty lousy copies. But is this receive going to be any better than the receive we've been having on the other 2 we've seen? So make sure we're on channel 20. Put the Sinad meter on. I think with the other ones, we're something like 1 microvolt, 1.2 microvolts, so that they're out there. So we've got that now on frequency, and let's look at our Sinad meter. It's probably the best we've seen so far. .85. So you get a scratchy corner. Just make sure I've got RF gain up. Yeah. So we've now set it to S9, and it's giving us S5.5, S6. It's supposed to light up more than this. Okay. So let's see how on frequency it is. Bearing in mind it's 10 years old. Yeah, it's dropped a bit. So 27,79100. That's within spec, that's fair enough. But we'll trim that while we're here. It'll be CT1, I don't need to look at the manual for that. So we're back on frequency. So let's see what the service manual has to say for itself. I'd love to know what the person's name, XW, Mr. or Mrs. Peng, I wonder what the XW is. So it says it's supposed to do 0.5 microvolts for 12 decibel Sinad, but none of them ever have. We're going to set this up solely for UK channels, even though it has EU channels as well, and it's clearly got AM because there's a modulation transformer. It's a 2011 set, so it's before the rule change for the UK of AM being available for UK users, so it isn't going to do AM without telling it it's in a wrong country, which we're not going to bother doing because we're not going to use it anyway. So we're going to set it up as a UK only set. We've never found anything on CPT, and we find it very hard to get through when we're doing tests. So let's have a look. Well, that's got through to page 6, how to set up your test equipment. Somebody might tell me what a UUT is. Yeah, it's a radio unit under test. So something we haven't done before is to check the VCO voltage. Now I'm not going to alter it, but they say on channel 40 of the UK band it should be less than 3.8 volts, and that's test point 1. So if I can find test point 1 really easily, I'd expect it to be in there or around there. See if we can see it on the layout. They want to put it underneath, would they? Yeah, they put it underneath. Right, let's find out whether this is floating earth or not. So we'll connect that to positive. Yes, it's a chassis earth. So test point 1. .4 is definitely in lock. Let's see what happens when you press transmit. 1.94. And what does it say about that as the air conditioner kicks in? Doesn't mention whether it's transmit or receive, so there you go. But anyway, at least there's something there on the VCO. Now they want you to do receive first, and my training is such that you do transmit first, so we'll stick with what we're used to. So they want you to set the transmit power for a maximum of 3.5 watts, but we don't want to do that. We want to set it for 4 because we're not going to be suffering from having our container unpacked at the docks whilst every one of 10,000 sets is checked that it isn't over power. They're going to tell you to do it on EU channel 19, but we're not. We're going to do it on UK channel 20 because what would we want to do it any other way for? So it's L8 and L9. So once again we'll look at that. So they're under the screen, L8, L9. So make sure we're back on there. It's doing 4.4 watts as we've showed. We just need to peak it to make sure it's in the right position. Nasty ticking noise while this is in transmit. I'll tell you what, it's dropping off very rapidly. Really is. So we're now at 3.5 watts as it warms up. So it's now 3.4 watts. So just RV4. So, which is TX power. That's RV4 just there. And that's at full whack to give us that 3.5 watts. The radio is drawing an incredible 1.6 amps. I would think that's going to be the. I would think there's something under there, and I would think it's the trap for the second harmonic. I'll put the spectrum analyzer on because we don't know the history of the radio, ready for that. So if we're doing AM, RV3 is AM. And that they say 65%, but you'd normally set that to 90. So we'll put the spectrum analyzer on 55 megs, looking for the second harmonic. We'll just loosely couple that. There's nothing there. I'll just go on 27.79. So there's our 27 meg signal. Leave it there. Now we'll go to our 54 meg signal. Frequency, or 55 megs. Even if I've put the probe right in the works, we've got absolutely nothing. So I'll just make sure that this is maximum. And we've still got nothing on the spot. So it's very clean, of course it's a modern set, so there we are. That's fine. So I'll switch that off and save myself some electricity. Especially as I left the organ workshop, 8 50 watt fluorescents on for 24 hours. Okay, we'll go back to there. So deviation, we certainly need to sort that out. And we're looking for RV1. Probably about there. Wallow. No, it needs a little bit more than that. So set that to the absolute max of 2.5. Wallow. Testing 1, 2, wallow. That's about where we want it. So we've done that. So this might start off at 4.3 watts, but by the time you've keyed the mic for 15 seconds, it's down to 3.5 watts, as the manual says it will be. So don't all get excited. I don't need to bring that down, that's fine. So we've given it a slight rest. What's it doing? It's doing 3.9 watts as I just keyed it up. So we've got the power control on full, we've got it maxed on the 2 there, we've checked, although it doesn't say in the manual, but we've checked with the spectrum analyzer there. So we've got this at maximum and it's doing 4 watts, soon comes down to 3.5. Now it doesn't have, oh yes, we decided it probably did have an RF meter. It says antenna LED. So what happens when we key up? Well, it says it's actually spot on the mark. So we'll just see whether that does affect it. Yeah, I've just gone and changed channel. Well, it certainly isn't making any difference for me. We'll come back to that because I know the radio's got some other modes like SWR meter. So, as I said before, if we'd have been doing AM, it would be there, the 8RV3, but we're not. So what does that leave us with? It leaves us with trying to make the receiver a little bit better. So I'm going to start with S9 on the test set. And we'll go back. I'm trying to cram in a little 1-channel Harvard handheld as well today. Mr. Chippy sorted his push bike out from which he had 15 or 20 years ago. He went I think he said he did 4.5 miles yesterday, which was his second go on it. So if he's walking like John Wayne with a sore bottom, I'm sure that'll be it. Yes, he could go on a bike ride, couldn't he? Not to scratch a corner, he wouldn't need to go down there with a 1-channel 100 milliwatt set, but he could certainly save electricity in the car. So what we want to do is we want to set the recovered audio from the detector, and it's L20. L20 is that one. So put the oscilloscope on, we'll turn the bench light off, we'll put the camera to the oscilloscope and make sure we've got maximum recovered audio. It's a bit wishy-washy. Some of it makes a huge difference. It doesn't on this, but it did need a little bit of adjustment, so we've done that. So let's go through this. They have you do that on with 10.695, and that's fair enough, but we don't do it that way. Sensitivity, we need to be going through. Oh yeah, somebody asked, when you have a signal generator, the FM modulated audio the deviation you set it to is supposed to be 1.4 kilohertz. It's got nothing to do with the deviation of transmit of the radio. But on a signal generator, it's not 2.5, it's 1.4. So we'll look for the Sinad meter. And turn it to about there and put the bench light back on. And we want to be doing, it says here, L2, 3 and 26. So there's 3, 2, 3 and 26. 2, 3, 26. Wow. That's brought it up. Put that to a stronger signal. Just look at that one. And a weaker signal for that one. Excellent. Well, that's going to be better. So because we've got the Sinad meter, we're going to go through some of these other transmit ones. Sorry, other receive ones. I understand there are other receive ones, and part of the IF. So I put a bigger signal on. Not that big a signal. Probably about there. I'll just check they are receive and not transmit. 22, 21 and 4. Well, I can't spot them on the circuit diagram, so let's just make sure I've not upset transmit. I've no idea, and it doesn't it. So we've got 2, 4 and was it 18, which they mentioned. We've got the detector at 20. That's VCO, which is there. Well, I can't spot them on the main circuit, so leave well alone if you've got one of these. So that's covered the... Just check that. Anyway, everything looks spot on. So let's see now what we've got on receive. Well, we've actually now got just under 0.5, just as the manual says, and that's the best one of these I've seen. So it puts it now on a par with the Maxcom 4E, doesn't it? Which of course was also a Cobra version, wasn't it? The 21XFM. See, there's been some wires soldered there and then removed. Just makes me wonder what somebody put onto this set. Anyway, there you are. So they're not. I said they're all fur coat and no knickers is what we would have said in Yorkshire. So we'll check the squelch. So as usual, we will set the squelch to full, and then we'll advance it, hoping it to come in at 100 microvolts. I'll just put that on the attenuator so you can see me. That's 30 microvolts, that's 100 microvolts. I want the squelch to come in then. So let's adjust it so it does. It's RV5. It's the one that says RV5 squelch adjust. So that's now coming in exactly where I want it to be. So we're going to park the signal generator at 0.3 of a microvolt and disable it. So that's in standby. Turn the squelch down, set threshold, switch the signal generator back on, and see where it comes in. It's coming in at 0.69 of a microvolt and disappearing off at 0.62. I've not got a lot of hysteresis, but at least it works. I'll have a quick look at the circuit description for AM. So we want to do RV6 for S9 for our meter. And there we have it. So as far as I'm concerned, that's set up. Now it's got this, turn it round, it's got this pile of menus. Set country, we're obviously in the UK. ST on and off, no idea what that is. Looks like a sleep timer. Set clock, I bet it is. Set alarm, set countdown, set key tones, on, yeah they are. Display colour, red, green, blue, amber, red. I think green's best for me. Brightness. Hey! That's more effective than it was. Then you've got SWR, haven't you? So calibrate. So that's our calibrate line. SWR. Hello. How can we have SWR warning on a dummy load? Is that what that preset is, which said LED? It's gone out of it, hasn't it, on its own? Calibrate. SWR. Yeah, that's what that does. So what we need to do is set that pretty close to that's as low as it's going to go, because on a dummy load it's going to be perfect. So that has sorted out the mystery thing. So that preset VR26, which looked like an RF output, is in fact SWR position. So we've got that set. So calibrate SWR, so we're now as it should be. Oh, it automatically does it on EU channel 20. I mean, how stupid is that? So if I wanted to set the SWR on my aerial, and I was going to use 80 channels, so 40 EU and 40 UK, we'd set it on channel 1 of UK or channel 40 of CPT. They're assuming you're always going to want the SWR to be in the centre of the CPT band. No, we're going to only use this on UK band, so I want it in the centre of that. It doesn't let you do that. So you're back to using a normal SWR meter because the radio is actually useless in the way they thought of it. You know, it's full of these stupid things. Let's see whether this delta tune works. So we'll put a low signal on. Just turn the squelch down. So we'll put 12 decibels on the Sinad meter. And as I turn this, it's going to go out of... Yeah. More so that way. Yeah, anyway, it works. So once you're in UK, you can't change band. You'd have to reprogram it to be in a different band, and that's from the menu set country. And that's where we are. Right, well, we'll put it on the aerial, we'll put it back together, we'll put it on an aerial and take it from there. Okay, so I've put it back together and let's see whether there's anybody on. Well, Nana Roger. Memory scan, ordinary scan. Hey. So it's a very smart looking set. So it's actually one of the sets we've decided that commercially we're not going to accept for repair because we don't think customers are going to be satisfied with the results. It doesn't stop people sending them in if they don't expect them to work as well as a lot of other sets do. We saw when we transmitted it does 4.3 watts. That drops within 10 seconds to 3.5 watts, so I've no need to drop that down at all. Sensitivity was brought to within what the book actually says for the first time. This is the first time I've seen one do 0.5 of a microvolt. Our sample was about 0.9 and the customer's was 1.2. They're not faulty. They're not bad enough to be faulty, but it doesn't show good quality control. So two of the other sets we don't accept for repair are the Cobra 25 and Cobra 29. Or was it the Night Light or whatever it was called? They're abysmal, and again customers are so disappointed when they spend money and have them serviced and they're little better than how they sent them in. So it's a shame, and I don't know why people get excited about Cobra, because they only ever did the 21XFM, didn't they, in 1981, which is a Maxcom 4E. And they did the Cobra SOS emergency set, which is okay, and it's made for them again by Maxcom. The Cobra later years have had two of those. They had one under CB 2797, or was it 2794? Anyway, but they had one later on which was an all-in-one hideaway. Then they had the later one which was another all-in-one hideaway set. And they work alright, but the handset on the later one really overheats because even the transmitter's in the handset. So unless you like having burning hot hands, that's another not that good set. So the experience of what I've seen in the UK haven't been very inspiring. Like Presidents haven't been very inspiring. They did that dreadful KP77 base station, and then nothing appeared until about with CE MultiNorm about 2007 or something like that, and one or two of them have been okay. So there we have it, the Cobra 29 LTEU, is it? LXEU, and I said that was very, very kindly sent in by a view. That is really, really appreciated, and I thank you profusely for doing that. And we're going to have this on the air test, and it's actually performing the best I've ever seen one of these perform. Thanks for watching.